TV Crazy Man here. In this video, we celebrate the spookiest month of the year by traveling into a world of funny TV and movie goofs. But this time, we lean into our keys of imagination with your favorite characters from shows like the Munsters, the Andy Griffith Show, the Addams Family, X-Files, and lots more across decades of time. Be prepared to be scared, or at least perplexed, as we travel into the TV Crazy Man zone of classic TV goofs. What are ghosts, really? How about this weird-looking reflection of a man not in the Star Trek scene at all, except in this crystal? Is this the kind of thing that sparks ghost stories? You know, some speculate that Gilligan's Island was really haunted. I mean, who knows what kind of spooky things happen behind the scenes on the production of a TV show? Like, for instance, who is this man who sort of resembles the skipper? It can't be the skipper because he's in the water, but it sort of looks like he has a hat like the skipper, doesn't it?
Believe it or not.
Now check out this cool ghost car in the sky. It is kind of bizarre. Steve Austin is running through the woods when he appears to look up into the sky, and eventually there seems to be a car driving through the clouds before the camera shot goes back to Austin again. Munsters was all fun and games, right? Couldn't be any real ghosts on the Munsters, could there?
It's my head broken.
Look to your left. It's actually kind of spooky. Now, in the real world, it could be crewmen, but in the context of the show, maybe it's ghosts. There's another ghost in Autumn Crocus. Again, look to your left.
I'm coming, dear. I'm coming.
Yeah, I know I said maybe it's a crewman, maybe in the context of this show it's a ghost, but what if it's a real-life ghost? We just don't know. Speaking of ghosts, this next one is really strange. Keep in mind that there's not supposed to be anybody in the back seat at this time.
You're traveling through another dimension.
You know, I just had a terrible thought. What if Al from Quantum Leap wasn't really a hologram and was in fact a ghost the whole time? Of course, ghosts don't usually cast shadows, but neither do holograms, I didn't think.
Down easy, you know. See ya.
You know, the Darling family was into some spooky stuff with all those hillbilly curses and all that. So it's no surprise that as they drove off once again, we can see ghostly apparitions in Andy's window.
Believe it or not.
Do you remember the 90s sci-fi show Sliders, where they were always sliding between parallel universes? It was interesting, at least the first couple seasons. Anyway, in this scene, somebody's jumping out of the way awfully fast. Has to be a ghost, right? Now this goof is really spooky. In this scene, the two characters here think they're alone. But are they? I mean, what is that? You know, sometimes an occasional goof might even turn a cartoon into something really spooky, like Hanna-Barbera's Flintstones. Sometimes, Hanna-Barbera's fast-paced schedule would cause voices to get mismatched, making it appear in this case that Betty had somehow just possessed Wilma.
Drop in sometime to say hello. Drop in sometime to say hello.
Going back to Hanna-Barbera's use of separate cells for the head and body, it could sometimes create some scary looking scenes, as in this one where Fred's head disappears for a second. Now Scooby Doo was supposed to be spooky, but sometimes it was spooky in the places it wasn't meant to be.
This is it. Here we go. But no sign of Shaggy and Scooby.
No sign of Fred or Daphne either.
Haven, can you get us out? Almost immediately.
Ever wonder if Fred Jones is indeed himself a ghost? Now that'd be a kicker, wouldn't it?
Don't jump!
There's one scene from the episode Spooky Space Kook that makes me wonder if Scooby himself isn't the ghost. Or maybe they just forgot to draw in Scooby's head for a second.
Well, gang, it looks like we're up to our armor plates in another mystery.
Watch what happens when Fred finds out that Daphne has fallen into a mine shaft.
Wouldn't you know it? Danger-prone Daphne fell into a mine shaft.
I don't know. If Fred wasn't a ghost, how could he turn his head around like that?
It looks like we found ourselves a mystery.
And tell me, why is it that Scooby's black spots just disappear from time to time? Speaking of ghosts, in the very first episode, a truck comes towards the screen and absolutely nobody is driving it, at least until the next shot.
Believe it or not.
I'm sure you've heard of having an out-of-body experience. Well, on the Creeper episode, Scooby has an out-of-dog collar experience. Heaven help me, I don't know what could have caused such a strange anomaly.
Got to get the sheriff.
Of course, I guess that's not nearly as bad as Shaggy's mouth disappearing when he's just trying to make a simple phone call. Say, you don't suppose this is why people text more these days, do you? Where's the rest of Shaggy? In 1964, we were warned by the Addams Family to beware of the Thing. His friends call him Thing, of course. Now, in this chapter of our video, I want to investigate the possibility that Thing has been running through the entire classic TV series universe for decades, and perhaps we may be able to guess who or what Thing really is. If we go all the way back to 1936, we can see a possible Thing sighting on the Three Stooges short Movie Maniacs. A mysterious hand appears throwing Curly's pancake to the ceiling. What on earth could possibly do that? In Busy Buddies, Curly thinks he can milk a bull, which he gets him knocked over a fence. When Curly gets thrown over the fence the first time, you can see a hand throwing a stunt dummy, which is supposed to be Curly. Now, considering the fact that we've never actually seen a body that goes with this hand, could this be another early sighting of Thing? Check out this from Malice in the Palace. There's something weird trying to shoo the cat away. But I can't see like where the arm and the hand is and everything. This is just weird. Was this in fact Thing? And did this also prove that Thing has no body? Well, if your cat has ever screamed for no apparent reason, this could have something to do with it. I'm just saying. Now here's another mysterious sighting that dates back to the 1990s. In the episode Bad Blood, Mulder faces off against a vampire, and he does what Kolchak the Night Stalker would have done and breaks open a wooden chair to make a wooden stake. But someone lends a mysterious hand from out of nowhere. I wonder if it was Kolchak.
Admittedly, the story you're about to read is bizarre, incredible. Label it insane.
No, of course I'm kidding. It has to be another sighting of Thing from the Addams Family well into the 90s. But you know, the funny thing about Thing is that he was everywhere in the 60s, even in Mayberry. Andy and Barney are in a barn, getting ready to put Barney on a horse. It's all part of a plot to trick the Darlings so Charlene will get back with her husband Dud. But if they are alone, then where did that hand come from?
Strange, the bizarre, the unexpected. Believe it or not.
Looks like the Thing from the Addams Family is back again.
Hey, ain't me.
Why, Sheriff Taylor?
Man, what I wouldn't give to see what was on the other side of that door. Was there anything connected to Thing?
Well, where Barney's been all the morning.
How does Andy Taylor not know that there's a disembodied hand shutting the door all the time? I don't understand.
Worse than ever.
In the episode Abner Cadabra, when Abner knocks on the Stevens door as soon as he enters the house, a mysterious hand can be seen outside, ensuring that the front door is closed.
It's eerie. It gives me the creeps.
Thing would also pop up again on Bewitched at least once, probably more. He was a pretty sneaky hand to catch. One wonders, could there be an entire race of disembodied hands working in Hollywood? And if so, do they still work today?
There's obviously something the matter with that darn door.
You know how to stop it?
Thing could pop up anywhere. Here's another possible appearance on the 70s, early 80s TV series Chips. Here he's guiding the orangutan's hand in this motorcycle scene. With no body, he could literally pop up anywhere. After a lot of thought and investigation, I believe that Thing was secretly helping in the production of Knight Rider in the 80s. Because it was much easier for him to hide while driving KITT than the average person. It was also easier to hide in the back. Oh wait, I think I see two things. Night of 1,000 Devils, Michael Knight is thrown into a hole and he gets a spooky hand.
Boy, this place looks really familiar.
I also have reason to believe that Thing worked on the 70s superhero show, The $6 Million Man. That was one of my favorite shows when I was a kid. In this scene, he's helping Lee Majors demonstrate bionic powers by ripping a drain pipe off a wall. Now, there are some skeptical minds out there that say that Thing was not real, that there was an actor behind the hand on the Addams Family. Some even say it was actually Ted Cassidy's hand we saw for the most part. But could that be true? And if so, what about all the other mysterious hands we've seen in TV land? What is the deal? Kinda strange, isn't it? Now let's head back into the Wild Wild West, starring Robert Conrad and Ross Martin. You know, they say you just can't keep a good man down, but in the episode The Night of the Glowing Corpse, they really meant it. Philip Hine plays Lieutenant Renard, who is seen at the beginning of the episode talking to Artemis. Then later on he's found by West deceased in a coffin. But then at the end of the episode, West walks by him and Artemis talking again in the exact same scene they showed us at the beginning of the episode. Another spooky phenomenon happens in classic TV when characters appear to be in two places at once. Even the Beverly Hillbillies weren't safe from this one. On this episode, Mr. Drysdale and Miss Hathaway are at two places at once. First, they're talking to this Maynard Beatnik lookalike, while they are simultaneously dancing, and then the camera switches back, showing us that they are still talking to the Beatnik before they actually walk out to dance. Talk about a weird time anomaly. In the very next episode, Jed walks out to talk with Epps, one of the Beatniks, and then they cut back to the kids dancing, and there's Epps, clear as day, still dancing on the floor.
No, it couldn't be.
This same weird goof happened on Bewitched as well. In the episode Twitch or Treat, when we first see Samantha's Halloween party, you can see a floating tray with champagne glasses. Boris, the warlock, walks to it and picks one up. A few minutes later, Boris arrives at the front door of the house for the first time with his cat, the one that turns into a girl. And Endora greets him as if he just arrived.
Boris, how good of you to come.
Hello, Boris.
Yep, it's definitely that same guy.
You know the people that I know you can see, but I'm not too sure about the people you know.
Oh, it's a very stupid cow.
On the episode, the corn is as high as a gurney's eye. When a cow comes down in the elevator, an extra wearing a light-colored shirt is seen behind Sam and Darren. A split second later, he's behind these guys in the back over towards the very left. Then they cut back to Sam and Darren where the extra is still standing. Then we cut back again, and there he is, still. The extra goes to assist the elevator operator, but on the cut back to Sam and Darren, he is still behind them. Either he has a twin, or there was some magic behind the scenes, or maybe somebody just goofed on this one.
Exactly.
Believe it or not, this weird thing even happened on the $6 Million Man on the episode The Bionic Boy. See the girl in the blue and white dress dancing with the Bionic Boy? If I didn't know any better, I'd think she was watching herself dance. I guess it could be a twin, I suppose, or one of those Twilight Zone things. This next one from the Bionic Woman continues to give me nightmares, so I thought I'd share it again. The second season episode, The Night Demon, has a sort of a Scooby Doo vibe going on, as Jamie discovers an empty monster costume she later wears herself to scare the same crooks that were using it before in earlier scenes. Keep in mind, Jamie herself wears this costume later, so we know it's empty right now, or it's supposed to be. But if you look carefully, you can see the creature's eyes are actually moving. Now that's spooky. Happy Days runs roughly through 1955 to 1965. In the first couple of seasons in particular, things felt really accurate to that time period, but as time went on, things started to change, especially in the third season. Is it a coincidence that 1957 was the year that Fonz and the Happy Days gang were lost in time on the cartoon series? Why that particular date? When on the regular series, they were well into the 8th season and in the 1960s. Could have been because Richie and Ralph were no longer on the show by that time. But I do wonder.
Like he's got girl problems.
What makes you think you're so smart, Chuck?
Remember Richie's brother Chuck, who, if I'm not mistaken, was completely written out of the show by the 3rd season? Could the time-traveling Happy Days gang have accidentally erased Richie's brother Chuck from existence? Chuck was played by 3 different actors, counting the Love American-style pilot. It was almost as if Chuck's entire existence was unstable at best.
You unlock this door with the key of imagination.
That's incredible!
Sometimes the scariest, or at least the most disturbing events happen on television, one assumes accidentally, like when dead people just won't stop moving.
Claridge's wife, and this is his butler.
You know, I guess I shouldn't have been surprised to see dead people moving around on the X-Files. In the episode Shadows, no one seems to be troubled by the fact that the dead people are still breathing.
Have you ever seen anything like this?
No, never.
Seems like Scully, with her medical background, would have noticed this.
You're looking for something that isn't there.
There it is!
With the breathing corpses from the episode Shadows, and now the eye-twitching body in the episode Genderbender, I'm wondering if the X-Files series had a zombie apocalypse in mind for sometime later in the series.
Thanks for the call.
They're here.
They may be.
I think I found another zombie in the episode Born Again.
Do you know him?
No, before my time.
Oh, where is he now? Has he been transferred? What are they?
I don't know. Just keep watching. It's unbelievable.
Wait a minute, Scully, come back. Don't leave. Through the window.
I have done a little living in my time. You can say that again.
In the episode, Opie's most unforgettable character, Goober's lips don't move, and he sounds kind of creepy.
You can say that again.
Are we hearing his thoughts? Why did they go back and dub that seemingly non-essential line back in there? Should we be scared?
You can say that again.
How about going with me to the drive-in tonight? The picture's a gasser. The monster who devoured Cleveland.
Why was The Monster That Devoured Cleveland and its sequels the only movie trilogy that was shown in the town that Dobie Gillis lived in? I wonder what sinister hold these movies had on Dobie and his town. And now a strange story from I Dream of Jeannie. Next is a coincidence that strangely predicted the future of an entirely different series starring Larry Hagman. First in the episode My Master the Civilian. In this episode, Jeannie uses a future-telling machine to see how Tony's life would turn out if he quit the space program and took a civilian job. Coincidentally, the interior set for Tony's office is the same one for Darren Stevens' office in Bewitched.
Here's the report you asked for.
Thank you, Sue.
Ellen.
Yes, strangely enough, if you combine the names of the 2 secretaries, you get the name of Larry Hagman's wife on Dallas, Sue Ellen.
I won't be able to explain this if I live to be your age.
If it was just that alone, maybe it wouldn't be that big a deal, but there's more. A couple of seasons later, in the episode Black Mail Order Bride, a woman pretends to be Tony's wife, and her name is Sue Ellen.
Believe it or not.
It wouldn't be a Halloween special without classic monsters, so next I present you a collection of the best goofs that I have found from classic monster movies so far on the TV Crazy Man channel. In Abbott and Costello Meet the Mummy, Abbott and Costello continuously call each other by their real names.
Lou, what's the matter? Hey, Abbott.
But in the credits, they go by Pete Patterson and Freddie Franklin.
What's strange about it, Lou?
I like the fact that they use their real names. It's less confusing. They should have done that on all their movies, really. Watch Costello in this scene turn into a stuffed dummy.
Pick him up.
Well, you know, they had to do something because I don't think Abbott was a weightlifter or anything.
Mike gonna have trouble with you now?
Not me, Lou. I love old monster movies, especially Bud Abbott and Lou Costello meet Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde with Boris Karloff. In this movie, Costello got to get into the act of turning into a monster along with Boris Karloff. In this movie, Costello also interacts with a Frankenstein's monster wax figure that comes to life just a little bit when it gets hit with electricity. A little bit later on, we'll get to the movie where Frankenstein meets Abbott and Costello. Well, the interesting thing is that George Washington here is a wax statue, but he blinks. The same thing happened on an episode of The Wild Wild West when a lady was supposed to be a mannequin. You know, I think it was cheaper to have an actor dress up like a statue or a mannequin than to have a actual mannequin made. In this scene, one of the Hydes jumps onto a moving bicycle that's ridden by an older lady.
Who are you talking to?
Who actually gets scared younger. Now see, I always thought that getting scared or having a traumatic experience would make you age faster, not go up, in reverse. You know, they sure do have strange grass in these parts. It almost looks like thin paper. Or maybe some kind of carpet. I'm just not sure. Now let's go to Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein from 1948. When Dracula and the Wolfman are fighting with Costello, caught in the middle, Frankenstein starts to move, and one of his electrodes comes right out of his neck. It's actually kind of gross, if you think about it. Glenn Strange, who played Frankenstein, said that at one point that he could never get through this scene because Costello would just not stop cutting up. And now let's look at the first Frankenstein movie from 1931. In this scene where Dr. Frankenstein is fighting his monster, Boris Karloff, who was the first to play the monster, almost has his makeup or his mask in the back catch on fire for just a second. Well, at the very least, it did smoke a little bit. And when you think about it, this is one of those goofs that actually added to the picture. I mean, it's kind of neat seeing his head smoke like that. It's 1935 with The Bride of Frankenstein.
Henry, yes, I'm Steve. Oh, Henry, how long? Come for me. I'm a kid.
Elizabeth?
In the movie, Elizabeth is captured. She's talking to Henry Frankenstein on the phone. You can see her hand slip out of the ropes real quick like and back in. It's a wonder they didn't retake that shot. It's really noticeable.
She's alive. She's alive!
Frankenstein the monster rolls a super large and presumably heavy boulder off a cliff onto the mob that is chasing him. But if you look closely into the chaos, one of the members of the mob has super strength, as well as they seem to be able to push the giant rock away almost without effort. Believe it or not. The monster chases this guy named Carl to the roof, and when they get there, they appear to be ghosts. When the monster decides to throw Carl off, Carl appears to have gotten scared stiff. You might say so much that he almost looks like a dummy.
Why is everybody around here so sensitive?
Let's take a look at another one of my favorite monsters, the Wolfman from 1941. You might think that silver bullets were the only weakness of the Wolfman, but he also seemed to have issues with hair and wardrobe. When Talbot starts to transform for the first time, he's only wearing a tank top and the pants he wore with his suit. Somehow, after his transformation into the Wolfman, he's wearing a dark, long-sleeve shirt and matching pants. Then the next day when he turns back, he's still wearing the same clothes he had on as the Wolfman. It doesn't seem likely he thought to change out of the tank top as the Wolfman. Lon Chaney Jr., who played the Wolfman, also took his turn as the Frankenstein monster in the movie The Ghost of Frankenstein, and on TV on an episode of Tales of Tomorrow in 1952. That series was filmed live, which led to a major blooper. For most of the episode, Cheney didn't realize the show was being filmed live and thought it was just a rehearsal. So not wanting to waste set pieces, he carefully set down pieces of furniture that he was supposed to smash, which of course was not very monstrous of him. Seems like back in the early days of television, there was so much more that could go wrong. Bela Lugosi is the Frankenstein monster in Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. Lon Chaney is back to doing the part of the Wolfman. Lugosi was most famous for his 2 times on screen as Dracula. It seems as though all the masters of horror took a turn at being Frankenstein at one time or another. During Talbot's first transformation into the Wolfman in this movie, he goes from wearing light-colored nightclothes to a dark shirt and pants. When he wakes up the next morning, he's back to wearing the pajamas, unlike the first movie where he retained the Wolfman's clothing. In one scene, the Wolfman is in an ice cavern beneath Frankenstein Castle. Talbot wakes up the next morning wearing shoes, which the Wolfman is always barefoot. On The House of Frankenstein, 1944, former Frankenstein Boris Karloff plays Dr. Gustav. John Carradine is Dracula. He went on to play Herman Munster's boss. And Glenn Strange is the Frankenstein monster. With his 6'5" tall height, he was perfect as the monster. In this scene, Dracula crashes his carriage and loses half of his mustache. Wonder why he didn't turn into a bat and fly away. Well, that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you weren't too scared. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the like. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments. I love reading comments, except for the ballads. Anyway, y'all have a great day. We'll see you later.